True Believers. Drew here from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, and we got a really exciting video for you guys today. We got the first video in our MCU Lookback, and we were originally gonna do it by phases, like do like all phase 1 in one video, all phase 2 in one video, but I just figured that's just too much, and we'll just split them up into 3 movies. So the day we're gonna do the first Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, and then Iron Man 2.
Yes.
Are you guys excited for this? I know I am.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be a jaunt. It's gonna be a long journey.
Haul.
It's a long haul to get to the end, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely taking a huge, maybe like 3-month break before we get to phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just too much, because all the TV shows and all that stuff.
And phase 5 starts in like a month.
Right.
Oh, that's
It
right.
never ends.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it'll be an ongoing series, and like I said, we'll take breaks in between, if you guys ever get burned out on this.
Sure.
But before we get to the first Iron Man, I got some housekeeping to do. Now, I wanted the video after this to be an M. Night Shyamalan movie review, voted by you guys, featuring me, Jackson, and my mom. But my mom is on a business trip as we're recording this, and she's about to be on another one. She'll be here for like a day, and then she's going on another one, and she's got another one shortly after that. So that's gonna be delayed for a minute. So the next video is gonna be something that me and Eric are gonna do, and we're gonna review the J.J. Abrams movie Super 8. Because it's actually produced by Steven Spielberg, and I'm in a very Spielberg-y kind of mood right now because of The Fableman, which is, as you know, my favorite movie of last year. And I keep singing that movie's praises. And I even told Eric, like, I'm telling you, man, if you say anything negative about that movie, I'm kind of going to at you like a cheetah. Because that movie just means so much to me. Like, you don't even know Jackson and Eric.
Oh, I get it. Like, it's way up there for me, too, from last year. It's, like, way near the top. I loved it so much.
Well, yeah,
I love that you guys love it. I love that y'all love it.
Enough being around the bush. Let's get to the MCU Phase 1, Part 1. So what is your...
Here we go.
Yeah, so what are just real quick before we get into my notes, or our notes, what is your quick thoughts about the first Iron Man?
First Iron Man is great. It's a perfect popcorn movie. It is, and honestly, maybe the best MCU movie, and it really kind of set the mold for everything to come after it.
I would agree with that. I think it's a very strong start to this franchise that has now been going for 15 years. It's crazy to think that it came out the same summer as The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
a few months prior, like 2 months. Yeah. 2
pivotal comic book movies came out like right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like Iron Man 1.
Yeah. My quick thoughts is this movie is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal connection to it because I remember seeing the second trailer for this movie. It ends with him in that valley blowing up the tank, and they play the Iron Man riff. And I heard that, and I just fell in love with hard rock and heavy metal after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, could I
discovered music.
The Iron Man trailer was your gateway drug.
But the thing about it was, like, I quit Boy Scouts, like, I think a year prior. And I was trying to still find my thing, and I told my mom I want a guitar. Like, I want to learn how to play guitar. And basically begged for the next 2 years, and she finally sat me down and was like, you're going to learn guitar.
Interesting.
Let's kind of talk about just various points and scenes. And I'll start off. I think this is one of the best character intros probably ever, because it really solidified the rock star status of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's saying, I feel like you guys, are driving me to court martial when he's in the tank, and like none of the soldiers are talking to him. And then like the female says, "Oh no, they can talk to you. They're just intimidated." And he says, "Good God, you're a woman." You actually have
nice bone structure.
There's actually kind of hard not to look at you.
Right. He's the most charming quasi jerk in the world, and I think that's what really makes this movie work. In honesty, is Robert Downey Jr. Like
Right.
without
Well,
Robert Downey
yeah.
Jr., this movie wouldn't be as good, probably.
For years, I know that the rumors was going to be that like Tom Cruise wanted to play
Yeah,
Iron
I'm
Man,
gonna say that.
Right.
Well,
Right.
that
Right.
wouldn't
Right.
have worked. That would have worked.
and I think that would have also been good, but it would not have been the same.
Well,
And
here's
plus,
the,
Would have
Tom
been
Cruise
something
wouldn't have
completely different.
stayed on that franchise. I don't think.
yeah. Well,
No,
here's the
but
thing.
Robert Downey Jr.
Iron
was in
Man
like
wouldn't
that
have
perfect place in
flown.
his
He would have
career
just
to do
ran.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Cruise as Tony Stark. Though he has a very dedicated fan base, I think there's enough people who do not like Tom Cruise at all and think he's a complete asshole. It
Yeah.
would have worked because they would have that bias, which understandably so.
hmm
So I
Sure.
think it needs to
And
like, do a lot more people like, and then
it
still
was harder, right. And it was harder to get comic book movies made before like Iron Man. Like they made like X-Men and like Blade and like Spider-Man and
Oh,
then
there were a
like the
few others. There
Batman
was like
ones.
Daredevil
Oh yeah, I
that
guess there
came
was
out.
Daredevil.
The Punisher was one. The
Oh,
first
Thomas Jane.
Fantastic Four
Yeah, I
movie
mean,
had
I
already
guess
come
they were
out.
making
Actually, the first two Fantastic Four movies had already come out. There was already kind of a glut of
shit. You're
comic
right.
book movies at this point. Ghost Rider had already come out,
Right.
but this is the one that starts the MCU, and that is what completely changes the
What's
comic book movie
interesting
genre.
is the opening to Bryan Singer's X-Men is in the Holocaust, but it didn't really get as dark as like The Dark Knight and even this new Matt Reeves Batman movie that came out last year.
hmm
Oh sure. Yeah. I mean,
They-
and
Yeah.
even this one is touching on themes that are outside of comic book movies, especially out of the ones that, you were just talking about, Jackson, that, like the Fantastic Four, they don't really deal with terrorism around the world or anything like that. Or just like
No.
people selling weapons to terrorists or anything. So even this was still, even though it's light as air sometimes, it still had a little more on its mind than a lot
Right.
of average comic book movies.
And the thing that's
Yeah.
I know the benefit of getting somebody like Kevin Feige who loved the comics for years
Sure.
to produce these because he got that Marvel was pushing the envelope as far as like putting real life political stuff in those books because
Yeah, sure.
Tony Stark
Reflecting
is
from
a warmonger. He's a weapons manufacturer, and even Stan Lee said, like, I wanted to make a character that reflected that kind of person in the real world that everybody pretty much hated, but make you like him. Which is interesting.
Casting Downey Jr. Well, he's just so likable. I mean, it's right down to that first scene. Like the first scene, it just starts with a bang because it literally there's a bang, but you get such a good sense of who this guy is, like right away. He's cracking wise. Right. He's taking selfies with the soldiers, all of this stuff. He's got that machine gun kind of cadence to his dialogue. It's just all right there in the very first moments of the movie.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of this was just kind of made up. I watched this. There's this podcast called "It Was a Shit Show." And they do occasionally videos sometimes, and like they laid out the first Iron Man, and like a lot of this dialogue they were kind of making up, and most of the plot was kind of made up on the fly for this first one. Like they were just like, I don't know, let's try it. They were like, just spend $100 million.
And then I like seeing all the little hints at everything, like the Ten Rings are in there, which we see again in Shang-Chi. Jarvis, when Stark is updating the suit for space, for space travel to figure out the icing problem. Jarvis even says, it's ideal for space travel. He goes into space in Infinity War, so it's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
He goes to space in the Avengers in like 5 movies.
He does. Yeah.
Briefly.
Fly the nuke in space. Did they think of that? Was this intentional? I don't know.
I would imagine
it's hard to tell with these like stuff with these early movies. Maybe so.
Yeah, well, I know in the comics, I don't know if this happened before or after the first Iron Man, but in the comics, I know Iron Man hung out with the Guardians.
Oh, yeah. See, okay, that's another thing. Full disclosure, I haven't read a lot of the comics. When I was a kid, I'd read sporadic ones here and there, so I don't know as much of the lore behind a lot of these characters. So like some of the like deep dives or like Easter eggs in movies, they go straight over my head because I enjoy them as movies though.
Yep. And can we talk about the seamless Burger King advertisement in the background?
Oh my goodness, the Burger King.
Yeah.
I've forgotten all about that.
It was basically saying, don't forget to grab your Burger King Happy Meal toy at Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get your Iron Man toy, so with every Happy Meal at Burger King.
Oh yeah, no, there's all kinds. Yeah, there's all kinds of like little references. He references MySpace in that first scene. And
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, man, this movie is aged. I was
Yeah.
like 2008. Wow.
And I remember I had an Iron Man toy from Burger King.
Oh yeah, I think I did too. Did he have a big head and like a little body, like a tiny little body? He looked like a dime store Pop Funko toy. What it looked like.
Now he had like a pull string in his arms, like went up and down, like he was running for whatever fucking reason.
That sounds like Tom Cruise.
And then I just love the whole like redemption story because one of the first scenes, because they flash back, it's him gambling, and that's something you would never see him do, within that 5-year time jump in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would see him.
Oh yeah. With, No, this first one is basically taking like an irredeemable kind of jerk who's charming and making us really care about him by the end of it. Like making like kind of hoping he lives, which is a pretty big feat. A lot of movies try it and fail like horribly.
Right. And then I love the line that Jensen gives when he says, "You're a man who has everything but nothing." Like that's very poetic. Like because he thinks, having the fast cars and having women, swoon over him, and then eventually banging these women almost every night, and then living the fast life and gambling and drinking and going to Vegas every other weekend and all that stuff.
Right.
That's that brings value to you, but he's an empty man. Like he doesn't have that groundedness that Pepper would eventually give him.
And he would have never realized it if he hadn't been kidnapped by those terrorists in the desert and then escaped by making a makeshift suit. If none of that had happened.
Oh, how about after that scene?
When I do love the makeshift
all the
suit
stuff
at
in
the
the
beginning.
Cave. All the stuff in the cave is my favorite stuff in the movie.
The first 45 minutes of that movie are great.
Yeah, I love Jensen. I love just like the dynamic between them and how they start working together and all this stuff, and they're plotting and planning and everything. It's just two guys like sitting in a cave, like, building stuff out of metal, and it's so captivating.
Yeah. So I guess
to be honest, I wish I slightly wish the whole movie was just that, and like the end is where he breaks out of the cave.
I would totally watch it. I would totally watch that movie.
Right?
Yeah, but you have to have the part
where
he's back home and he realizes Obadiah's plan, and then he has to go back to the Middle East and then stop all those heroin.
Yeah. That's my you make that Iron Man 2, because Iron Man 2 story is not great.
We get to it,
but to be on the topic of my favorite part. My favorite part is another cave scene. It's when he's banging away at the metal, making the helmet. Like that just gets me so pumped. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Work together.
Sweaty, and he's like in that on a sleeveless shirt.
But what I really like seeing this movie in the context of having seen the entire like Infinity Saga is the symmetry of it, because he is this like empty, like successful but empty man, but then Jensen saves his life and helps him get out of the cave, and the last thing Jensen says to him is "earn this," and then you see like by the end of Endgame, wow, has he earned it?
Yeah, it's an amazing like 20 movie.
It's
like
sweeping.
Character arc.
Yeah, it's epic. It's truly epic, and the fact that they pulled it off is just crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah, and that's just going back to what I was saying about like it's so weird watching this movie now, knowing where it became. Because I honestly did not think that in the same universe. Because I thought when I first initially saw this movie that it was going to be in its own contained Iron Man universe, like the Raimi Spider-Mans or X-Men movies. I didn't think that we were going to get a talking raccoon or Spider-Man or like all these other things.
Oh no, for sure.
And I remember when Iron Man 2 was coming out. This was before I realized that you have to stay at the end of the movie, of the credits. I didn't realize that there was an ending credit, and Sam Jackson with Nick Fury, and he said
really?
About the Avengers Initiative until Iron Man 2 came out. Everybody was saying that Sam Jackson was reprising his role from Iron Man 1. I'm like, wait, he was in that? So I typed it in, got that scene, got to see Iron Man 2 with Thor's hammer as well.
Right. And they've gotten crazy with them now. There's like 2 or 3 in some of them. There's like a mid one. There's one that happens right
Guardians
after the credits
2
start.
has 5.
Yeah.
Guardians 2
Miley
has
Cyrus.
5
keep coming back.
credits scene.
Yeah, there's one with Miley Cyrus in there. He plays like one of the Rangers, or like one of the bandit people.
Right. Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
Well, I didn't notice that too, but somebody pointed it out.
Okay.
I'll be looking for it this time when I watch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
In like 2 months.
So real quick before we move on to the Incredible Hulk, are there like anything you don't like? If this is like a nitpick.
I think the villain is kind of lame by comparison to some of the other villains that we get in later movies. In hindsight, at the time, it's fine. He makes perfect sense as a villain. But I will say the end where he admits he's Iron Man was a bit of like a revelation when I saw it in theaters. So because so many other superhero movies just play with the trope of like we gotta hide our identities. They can't know who we are.
Yeah.
And he's just like, fuck it.
Spider-Man.
I'm gonna tell you exactly who I am. And I was like, oh, what?
Well, Spider-Man's really the only Marvel character that has a secret identity thing. Like DC, that's more.
Didn't know that.
Like they're good because like Iron Man, everybody knows Tony Stark is Iron Man. At least in the movie.
Well, Daredevil has a secret identity.
Right, because he's Matt Murdock.
That's true compared to like everybody else in DC.
Sure, but I mean the trope is for a long while like they have to hide who they are in regular life, especially like Superman or like all those. I'm just saying like in general.
I think Fantastic Four was like the first big Marvel title that Stan Lee created. Because he didn't like how he was forced to write 2-dimensional characters, and he basically just wanted to quit Marvel. And his wife Joan was like, "Okay, how about you do the next one the way you want to do it?" And he basically made an emphasis on not making the Fantastic Four have identities.
Okay.
So
that's an interesting fact. Didn't know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Are there anything that you don't like about this movie, Jackson?
It sort of drags towards the end a little bit, and a lot of Marvel movies do. I mean, it's the common complaint with Marvel movies is like the final battle is always just kind of whatever. You're there for the character development, and then the final battle comes up, and it's just a bunch of loud explosions and crashes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this movie starts that trend right away. I will say I do like Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane in this movie.
Yeah, here's my
in fact,
sorry.
My favorite moment I think of the movie is him yelling out, "Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps."
Right, and they bring back that character that he was yelling at in the Spider-Man sequel.
Oh, really? I never noticed that.
Yeah, because Mysterio basically worked for Stark.
Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah,
forgot all about that. Yeah.
Well, you made that hologram thing. Made that hologram.
Yes. Okay. I didn't realize that was the same character, though. Okay.
Going back to the villain thing, I think up until maybe Phase 3 Black Panther kind of era, maybe a little bit before, or even like Thor Ragnarok, I think a lot of the villains were not running that interestingly, but the actor was really good.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, no, most of the villains in the first phase for sure are pretty uninteresting.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. We'll talk more about them later. But they were finding their way. They were getting there.
Yeah.
They had a roadmap, right? They weren't just making it up as they went.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So, let's talk about the Incredible Hulk if you want to get into that direction.
I watched this for the first time. This was my very first because I've been kind of avoiding it. I always hear it's the dark sheep, the dark.
Oh, it is.
The movie that
it's the only
kind
one.
of lame.
It's the only MCU movie that I don't really consider to be an MCU movie. Sure,
I disagree with you.
It's got some characters in it that are in other MCU things, but I just don't think it. To me, it's pointless. Like, you don't need it.
I disagree.
It is kind of pointless. It is kind of pointless by the end.
They keep referring back to it. They like even the first.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I showed my parents the whole MCU, and we skipped this one, and they missed nothing.
Yeah.
It's true though. It's true. I've never watched it until now, and I've seen all the rest of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen it
completely
since theaters until earlier today when I watched it. Today was the first time in 15 years I've seen that movie.
But I think the only other problem I have with that besides that is the fact that like Edward Norton's kind of a boring Bruce Banner because he's very much more like an eccentric actor. Like he plays his parts more bold or big.
Yeah.
I will say.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Case in point, I don't know if you saw Glass Onion, the new.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he's fun in that.
Yeah, but like that's a very Edward Norton role. If you see him in interviews,
it is.
He's a very artistic guy. Like, and he's fascinating. Like, I know he's kind of an asshole on set, but
yeah,
like, he's a very kind of
guy. I mean, he went in and recut American History X, and supposedly there's another cut of this movie that they changed before it went to theaters. This movie, I will say, the best thing about this movie is that they spares the origin story, and it just happens during those terrible opening title sequence.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's pretty bad.
I am not a fan of this one. This and Dark World are probably like bottom of the barrel MCU. And Dark World's, from what I remember, better than this one.
I like Dark World better.
I would actually say Dark World and the Seahawk are like the two biggest bottom of the barrel. Like, I did not like where they took the Seahawk.
I haven't finished She-Hulk. I'll have to catch up before.
I enjoyed She-Hulk. So.
Okay, so I just want to say this. Me saying that, I'm not saying that in a misogynistic way. I love strong female characters, so don't attack me, internet. Because I know that's
be careful nowadays.
That if you have any critique for a piece of art that has any minority group, you're sexist or misogynistic or racist. That's not what it is. I don't like how that show is written. So I'm just gonna make that perfectly clear. It has nothing to do with it being a female. I don't like how the show is written and where it went.
That's fair. If you don't like the show, that's cool. You don't have to like all of. I certainly don't like all of the MCU. I'm about a 50-50 split as far as like what I consider like great. Mm-hmm. They're maybe about half of them are great, and then some of them are kind of like, this one is like pretty low though.
It's between middle of the road and bottom of the barrel to me. I feel like, but I do like the man in hiding aspect to it, like in the '70s show, because we did not get that in the Bana.
They even play the music at one point.
Yeah, I noticed that for the first time. Yeah. Except he didn't fight a bear in this movie.
There's a bear in the movie?
In the Ferrigno series?
Oh, okay. I've never watched that.
I've only seen clips. I maybe watched like episodes when I was a kid, but that was so long ago. All I know is he was huge, he was green, he had purple pants. That's all I remember about that show.
Ferrigno played David Banner for the longest time. No, it's Bill Bixby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't he on a TV show that somebody's watching in the movie? They're watching something, and I believe it's Bill Bixby as the character on screen. And then, of course, like Lou Ferrigno shows up as the security guard.
Yeah, that part when Edward Norton's on the computer and it cuts.
Yeah, the guy who just holds up pizza and like that's how you just get it anyway.
Well, it's Martin Starr. It's the teacher from the Spider-Man movies. Yeah, I believe he's supposed to be the same character.
I think so.
He's like a science teacher, right?
Yeah,
or is he
pretty
not?
sure.
I can't remember, but
apparently the little boy in the Iron Man mask in Iron Man 2 is Peter Parker.
It's Peter Parker, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard that too.
And then I love Banner's mysterious pen pal, Mr. Blue. With they meet up, and that's David or not
Yeah.
Blake Nelson, Tim Blake Nelson.
Tim Blake Nelson, yes, I love him.
And he's very convincing as a scientist character.
What is
he's the best part of every movie he's in.
He is, and I honestly wish he came in sooner. I do have a question, and I don't know lore about anything. So, like, when the Hulk juice is dripping on his head and his head starts to swell up, what is he supposed to become something else? Like, what is he? Is that part of the bigger Marvel universe?
I don't know which character.
I don't know what it is either, because it's not Brainiac, right? Because that's DC.
That's DC. Yeah, but it's like a similar type of character, I think. Okay. He's another supervillain, but I don't remember the character's name. But yes, he is supposed to turn into that, but they never did anything with it.
Yeah, I think he's a character called the Leader, I believe.
Okay.
But I had do you remember those DK books where it was like they talked about like Spider-Man, like the history of Spider-Man. It was like for kids, like on a kids level. Well, I had one for the Hulk that went through the whole history of the Hulk. And again, it was written for like 12-year-olds. And I remember to see I don't remember his whole deal. So I might have to crack open my Marvel Encyclopedia after this.
Cool.
And see who that
And we'll find out on the next episode what you found out.
On the next episode.
Tune in next time.
Find out who the leader is.
I will say I like Tim Roth a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's just playing like a straight up maniac.
Yep.
Which Tim Roth does so well. It's surprising the Joker. He would have made an amazing Joker.
I like the part in this movie where when William Hurt's Thunderbolt Ross character is telling him about the super soldier serum that Banner had in him in him, which make him turn into an Incredible Hulk. And then he says, and then Tim Roth goes, well, I want some of that, and because you're gonna have a bunch of professional tough guys pissing their pants. Sure.
I'm pretty sure he has a line in there where he's just like, I want power. And then he just gets stuck with needles. Yeah. I'm like, okay. At least he has a character arc, which at least he has once. Bruce, for the most part, Edward Norton, he wants to not become the Hulk. That's about it.
Did I like how Banner works at a soda factory and then he cuts his finger and he gets blood on one of the bottles, and then Stanley drinks the bottle? Like, does he fucking turn into the Hulk? Like,
they cut away. I think
you never see what happens.
I think he dies. I think he's dead.
He dies too.
Yeah.
Well, I like when he drinks it and he lowers the bottle. He goes, "Oh,
dead." That's why they cut away.
But here's my question: speaking of the super soldier serum, so did they combine the super soldier serum with Gamma to make it an ultimate soldier? Because I know the Gamma thing is the Hulk.
No idea. They never explain that, and they hope that you won't ask that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also liked how Thunderbolt Ross was kind of tricking Banner. Like he said, he tricked him, saying it was this one thing, somehow wasn't gonna hurt you, or it wasn't like a chemical or whatever, but it really was. I thought that was pretty dastardly. No, I remember him saying that in the movie.
Oh.
Well, I think probably government projects work like that a lot of the time. Like they'll have somebody working on one very specific thing, but they won't know what that specific thing is necessarily going to be in the bigger scheme of things.
Sure.
Because that's how you keep secrets. You don't tell anybody all the parts of the plan or whatever.
Right, because then they'll just take those secrets and go out and sell them to somebody else.
Yeah, but if you have just somebody that's working on one very specific element of a project, then you don't have to tell them what the full project is. Yeah,
right, absolutely.
So it makes sense. Yeah, it's sinister, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean that's a whole other topic I don't want to get into.
Yeah,
but I love when the whole part when he's being chased in Peru or whatever, or Banner is, and it felt like a Bourne movie, like a Jason Bourne movie.
It's very much like that.
Yeah, and then when he gets into the bottling factory, you only see glimpses of the Hulk. I thought that was really cool. But that's
I was a little disappointed. I wanted to see the Hulk at that point. I was like, we're 30 minutes in. I was like, show me Hulk. And the reason they didn't show him is because he didn't look that good,
Yeah,
especially
he
by
looks like
the
a
end.
video game cutscene.
Yeah, I
He
think at
looks
the
like a PlayStation 2
time,
cutscene.
I think at the
Mhm.
time he looked really good compared to the Banner version. But
Sure.
Oh yeah, no, compared to the 2003 version, the Ang Lee one, oof.
yeah,
I will say that about this movie. It is far better than that one.
yeah. Well, that's the thing
I
about
kind of like the Eric Bana
yeah. I
one.
just watched it again. I barely remember it, but that's the I just remember like the comic book panels and all that, which was
Yeah.
But
That's what I like
Real-
about it is at least it's doing something creative, like visually.
yeah, I mean, you
That's
got
fair.
Like he's trying something.
Yeah, Ang Lee. So he's a
Yeah.
very creative kind of guy. I liked how in the Ruffalo version, like they really wanted to make sure that you knew it was Ruffalo, so they made the Hulk's face like
They made
Ruffalo.
his face. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
and
version didn't
that
look like
was.
Jordan, and then the other version didn't look like Eric Bana.
I will say the Eric Bana one looked closer to Eric Bana than this one. Like,
Oh yeah,
whenever he becomes the Hulk, I
Yeah.
was like, this doesn't look like Edward Norton at all.
yeah.
It just looks like a big green PlayStation 2 character.
Yeah. I remember when they recast Edward Norton, I was a little disappointed because I wanted to
Mhm.
see what he could do with the character, like with the Avengers and stuff. But then when Mark Ruffalo shows up and he has such a different take on the character,
Yeah, he's
just
Yeah.
Bruce Banner's personality is completely different and
Yeah,
it works
he
perfect.
sells kind of the timid
Yeah.
scientist character, and he even looks a lot
Mhm.
like Bill Bixby. I really like Blonsky's motivation in this movie. Taking a soldier who still has the fight in him, but he's older
Mm.
and he has a lot more knowledge of warfare.
Yeah.
And he wants this chemical in him to be a badass motherfucker.
I guess so, but also
Yeah,
that's like
but
really like it's like really bad. Like you shouldn't be doing that. And like it's weird that he's essentially the villain in this movie. That William
Yeah.
Hurt's the villain, and then like the next movie over, they're just like, no, he's not anymore. He's a good guy now.
Yeah.
He's okay.
The part where they say that Emil Blonsky is 39, I'm like, nope.
45.
Yep.
You're 45.
'Cause I just turned 40, and I don't know
that.
anybody my age that looks like that.
Mm-mm.
Guess if you don't have anything else to talk about, let's go to favorite part, least favorite part. So I'll go with you, Jack.
Favorite part is, again, it's Tim Blake Nelson. He's
Yeah.
the best part of any movie that he's in. I just love the way he delivers lines. He's just got a good energy to him.
Yeah, I need to
Least
watch
favorite part? Oh, again, it's the final battle. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Cool. It's cool. You want that in a superhero movie.
But yeah,
It's
but do it well.
Quick.
They do it well. Eventually, Marvel does do it well at a certain
Yeah,
point.
eventually.
But they're just finding their footing right now, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
you're right. It is just like metal against metal, yelling. Especially this because it's the Hulk, so there's no. It is just yelling and screaming for no reason. He just like it's kind of
That is a great.
And there's no people in the scene really, except for like some people running away. But it's basically
Right.
just two CGI monsters fighting each other, which can be done well, but it's not in this case. It's just whatever.
What final battle do you like more, this one or Iron Man?
I like Iron Man better because it's at least it's two characters,
and it's
like real characters, you
Yes.
know. Yeah.
So Eric, favorite part, least favorite part?
Favorite part. I don't know. I laughed a lot at all the unintentional things. So I think that may be my favorite part. Like there's a scene in the middle when they're fighting in the the park of all places, where like William Hurt is yelling like fire on him, and then like he realizes his daughter's out there and he's like stop firing like immediately. I laughed really hard at that. Because he just like didn't look or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because she's already out there.
Yeah. I was like, what? And then least favorite part, yeah, probably just like the end again. Like the end of Iron Man, you're right, like it does have like at least two characters who talk to one another or like but it's just two CGI characters who already don't really have personalities. Just like mashing against one another is kind of like ugh.
Yeah.
And then it was over, and I was happy about that.
I would probably say my favorite part is the campus scene, is particularly when the Hulk when he turned to the Hulk and he jumped out of that bridge. I thought that was pretty dope. Least favorite part is Edward Norton. I thought he was just, and he's a great actor. I love Edward Norton. I need to watch more movies with him, as well as Tim Blake Nelson.
Sure.
He was boring compared to Ruffalo.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I get what they were trying to do with him, but it just didn't work.
You guys want to go into Iron Man 2, and then after that we can wrap this shit up.
Cool.
I love the super thrill scene in this movie. I thought that was so awesome.
Sure.
Plus, you know me, I'm a big hard rock, heavy metal guy, so AC was one of my favorite bands back in the day. I still like them now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I do like that scene in that it sets you up that you don't know he's about to go to a convention. Watching it again for the first time in like a long time.
Yeah.
You do think he's almost maybe dropping into a battle at first because he gets hit at one point and then you reveal that he's like, those are fireworks and all that sort of stuff. So that was a nice turn.
Yeah, I like that little touch with him getting hit by the firework. But I didn't think about that, like him going to that battle.
Yeah, and he's essentially got like the Nitro Girls. There's a dated reference for you.
yeah.
Well, the thing was, this scene was originally supposed to open on him puking in the toilet in this plane, and then like Pepper was supposed to motivate him and even kiss the Iron Man helmet before she puts it on the head, and then it continues like it does. But
that would have been nice, I think, to have. Because I think my biggest problem with this movie is that it just kind of feels like more of the same in some ways.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have a lot of like. I kind of felt like the first movie we already seen Tony Stark be a jerk for like majority of the movie, and like he kind of changed by the end of it. And I feel like he's just kind of that again, but now because of the fame that Iron Man's brought him, sort of thing. So I was kind of like,
I like the angle where he's slowly dying. So I think if he was a little bit nicer, like not stuck to his old ways in the beginning, and then he figures out, no, like I'm quickly dying, like, and then, and then back to his old ways, that would have been a little bit better, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like this movie, but I don't love this movie. This is not one of the ones I go back to and go watch it over and over again. And I think it's mainly because the villain just really isn't interesting to me this time around. Because at the beginning, I wrote a note like, it was like, "Dead daddy, make you a baddie." Because as soon as his dad dies, he just decides to become like Whiplash. Like I don't like none of that makes any sense to me. I was just like, what?
Like,
yeah, and they try to explain it later when they're just like, yeah, his dad worked for Stark with your dad, and then he was like trying to steal product or something, and then they fired him, and he went away, but he was brilliant. And I was just like, well, yeah, it doesn't sound bad at all. It sounds like they fired him for good reason.
So
I don't know.
I gotta say, probably one of my favorite Tony Stark moment ever is the courtroom scene, and he says, "To turn over my Iron Man suit would be to turn over myself, which is tantamount to indentured servitude or prostitution." And then the senator goes, "I'm no expert." And then Stark goes, "In prostitution? Of course not. You're a senator."
Yeah.
So, this is so funny, and and again, I want to get super political on my show, but that's pretty relevant.
Yeah.
There's still some. I mean, this movie has a lot of fun in it still, and it still works because of Robert Downey Jr. It's just not as sharp as the first one. I think
we can't ignore the fact that fucking Elon Musk is in the.
Oh boy. I had forgotten
that
he had a cameo, and then I was watching it, and it was like, oh my gosh.
The first one had a MySpace reference. The second one's got an Elon Musk. Really, really aging these things.
Yeah, I tell you what I did like about. I like the little things in this movie. Like I like how he shows that video of Howard Stark like giving the little presentation, and it's clearly trying to make Howard Stark look like Walt Disney.
Yep.
Like doing like the Wonderful World of Disney or whatever on his TV show, because he's in his office and he's got basically what looks like Epcot Center, behind him. He's got the little mustache, and just the whole cadence of his delivery and the way it's shot is just like one of those old Walt Disney TV shows. So it's such a nice little touch that I don't think I made that connection until today, even though it's obvious. But
oh yeah, and honestly, I didn't make that connection until you just said it. Like now it all I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but he's not Walt Disney. He's an arms dealer.
Yes. I don't make children's memories. I make ballistics.
So I like the racetrack scene in this film. I think I thought that was really cool. And
it's a fun sequence. Sorry, go ahead.
And I think that should have been the turn. Tony Stark going back to his old ways. It's him in the bathroom looking at the arc reactor in his chest, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm about to do something crazy."
That would make more sense. But yeah, because there's really nothing that set us up for him to do that before now. I don't know. I think it's a cool sequence that makes no sense for the story for the most part. Like it almost feels unnecessary. Also, too, how does Whiplash know he's gonna be there? Like they set up in one scene, but then how does he know he's gonna be in the car because he just made that decision like on spontaneously? You know what I mean?
No, maybe he was about to attack the other driver to get Stark's attention.
Maybe, but they never set that up either. So rewatching it this time, I've really started like noticing things like that. I was like, but how did he know that? Like it doesn't. I guess he was just trying to send a message, but I don't know. It seemed pretty pointed.
The reason that it's there is because they needed an action scene.
Action sequence. Yeah, you're right.
You've got to establish Whiplash as a physical threat to Iron Man. And it's like, why don't we do it this way? And that's pretty much probably the thought that went into it.
You're probably exactly right.
And it's an awesome scene too.
It's a really fun sequence.
It's great, and it makes me miss that Whiplash essentially disappears for like the rest of the movie until like the very end.
Yeah, he's just sitting in a lab the rest of the movie until
I need my blood.
Yeah.
I need my bird. That's not my bird. Mickey Rourke.
They kind of screwed Ricky.
I need my bird. This is that point in Mickey Rourke's career where he had started to kind of make a comeback, you know? Like he had Sin City and then he had
He had just come off like
got an Oscar nomination. Yeah, for The Wrestler. And then this movie happened and you don't see him anymore.
Yeah, he did like The Expendables, and then from there he just kept drifting off into like
asshole. No one liked to work with them.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of people who are jerks.
I like the jail cell scene between Stark and Whiplash. Because it's a good insight on both characters. Basically, Stark is impressed by Ivan's tech. And then basically Ivan Whiplash goes, "You forgot all the lives the Stark family had destroyed. If you can make God bleed, the people will cease to believe in him," referring to Stark. And then he said, "Plating him in the chest, painful way to die."
Yeah, how does he know that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But there's also too. This is another one of those scenes where it's kind of like, I get why it's there, and I understand why it's there, but the police would not let Tony Stark just walk in and talk to this guy, like out of the blue.
Well,
you know what I mean?
No,
Tony Stark did. He hit that kind of hole. He hit that cat money.
I mean, I guess, but he wasn't like, he hasn't like set up the Avengers yet. So far, he's just kind of like, he's done a couple cool, like good things, but I don't know. Just, this time watching 3, I was just like, what? They would not let him go in there and talk to this guy.
Well, we need to talk about the Sam Rockwell of it all.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Underrated villain, probably.
He's so great. I wish they would bring him back in another movie.
I mean, he is essentially the villain of this movie. Yeah.
That weapon.
He's the real villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That weapon demonstration scene was hilarious.
Oh my goodness!
All of it's great. Everything with Sam
trying
Rockwell's
to turn the TV off before they see. Yeah, Sam Rockwell is one of those guys that's like, he can take a nothing character like this and just make it sing. Like, I don't know what he can. I don't know how he does it. Like, he can just, because nothing that Justin Hammer says in the movie is particularly interesting. You know, the way he's written
or funny for that, Mark.
Yeah, he's a pretty flatly written character, but somehow Sam Rockwell just gives him this weird energy.
Yeah.
The
And
way he always does to characters.
And he only played Iron Man too. He was super close to it.
Oh, really? That would have been something.
Interesting. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I would pay to watch a Sam Rockwell Iron Man movie.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get one with like a multiverse.
Multiverse where Justin Hammer becomes Iron Man.
Iron Man. Yes.
That can be another what if. That can literally be another what if episode.
That should be a what if. What if Justin Hammer became Iron Man?
Became Iron Man. Yep.
You guys don't have anything else to say? I guess we could do favorite part, least favorite part.
I feel like I had one more thing, but maybe not. We'll just go into least favorite. Favorite part. If you got yours, go ahead, Jackson, because I don't know.
No, I'm thinking about it.
Will you go first, Drew?
Okay, my favorite part is when Ivan escapes the prison. Cause that whole thing was very Hitchcockian. And when the other guy, the lookalike guy, comes in, and he looks at and Ivan sees his prison number, which is his, and then he beat the crap out of him, and then and then the guard walks right past him, and he kind of pauses for a second, and then he keeps up the guard, and he keeps going to the stairwell realm, and he he basically kind of tries to book it out of there, and those guards attack him, put the bag over his head. That was amazing. I love that all.
It's great. Yeah. And at the very end of it, he brushes his shoulder off. I caught that this time. I was just it was just oh my God. I will say, I think my favorite part, and this goes back to what we were kind of just talking about, is Sam Rockwell. I think in every scene he's in, keeps that stuff with Ivan sitting in that lab interesting. When most of that is pretty boring. So I think any scene that he's in with Ivan, I really love. And then my least favorite part is all the drone suits by the end, because I was I don't care if they blow these up or not. It doesn't matter to me. That's probably my least favorite part of the whole thing.
It's got very much Attack of the Clones type energy to it. Yeah. I think my favorite part is Tony Stark drunk at his party in the Iron Man suit.
You want the Gallagher?
Yeah.
Trying to, he's doing record scratches. He's throwing things up in the air, shooting them. He's telling jokes on the microphone. It's just Robert Downey just having an absolute blast playing a ridiculous scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
him in that donut too. Yeah, him in that donut.
Yeah, the next morning where he's hungover and he's still in the suit.
Sitting in that giant donut, eating a donut.
That big donut.
Sure.
So good.
I'm gonna have to ask you the X to the donut. And that leads to the fight scene between him and Rhodey, which is awesome. They have the hit song in the background, so you have I don't know, Bite the Dust. Rock.
Yeah. It's a great use of non-diegetic music or diegetic music.
I think least favorite part. I mean, it's probably the final battle, but I'm trying to think if there's something else. I don't know. I don't dislike this movie. It's just not up to par with the other two Iron Man movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, agreed.
My least favorite part, just real quick, is I just feel like it's just kind of the same thing, he's this rock star kind of persona, and then something happens where he has to learn his lesson, and it just feels like
and basically the same story almost. Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's slowly dying. So and then but then that's when you do the flip back to his old ways, like I said.
Yeah, it almost starts out too much like his old self.
Yeah,
but there's no real arc for him until after he figures out he's dying, but he's already kind of a jerk at that. It's weird. It's definitely not as strong as the other two. But coming off of Incredible Hulk, amazing.
Right. Yeah, it's weird how the MCU started with these three movies, because it hasn't done two in a row, two single franchises entries this close together, any other time. But it's the first one was a hit, so they were just we better do another Iron Man movie.
Second one goes greenlit.
Well, funny. Yeah, I think the director Jon Favreau wanted it to be a 2011 release, but the studio was no, we need it now. as soon as possible.
No, okay, that makes sense.
It would have been a
That
year
would make more sense.
Which means we that would have happened if everything got pushed forward a year. That means we would have had Endgame delayed because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because this movie like takes place at the same time or right before the first Thor movie. Because they reference it, you know. Coulson shows up and he's like, well, I've got to go to New Mexico. There's something I've got to deal with out there. So yeah, it's taking place right around the same time, but it came out a year before.
Right.
So, and apparently the Incredible Hulk also is supposed to take place around that same time.
Yeah, and he's also on the
That's what I've heard. Like when people do like timeline videos and stuff.
Yeah, apparently in that scene when at the very towards the end when he's talking to Nick Fury, and had like all the monitors of like the Hulk and all that stuff. Yeah, I think it's, apparently if you look really closely like on the map monitor on the map on the monitor, you can see Wakanda and Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
But
Atlantis?
So they knew they were going there.
Well, that's irrelevant now because they don't want to use Atlantis for Namor and Wakanda Forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But is it just the image of it, or does it say Atlantis? I don't know. I haven't seen Wakanda Forever, so I have no idea yet.
Well, no, they say Atlantis, and it's like a dot on a map. But anyways, do you have anything you want to say about the three movies, just real quick before we wrap this up?
I'll say it started off strong. The Marvel universe started off strong, with probably maybe the strongest film in the phase one. I think Iron Man may be their strongest one in this phase.
Or Avengers.
I don't know. We'll get to Avengers eventually, but I think this
I'm
one's my favorite
Captain America movie guy myself.
I will get Captain America too. Like that one is that one and Iron Man are probably the two strongest in this phase. Because the other ones are Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man 2. So starting off strong for the most part. Things will go downhill for a little bit, but then they'll pick back up around phase 2.
I think it's just interesting to see this franchise that has now come to completely dominate like mainstream pop culture, just how simple it starts.
Yeah.
You know? Oh yeah. It's weird. Just, like rewatching this, almost it feels almost grounded by comparison to where they go in some of the later ones.
Yeah.
It's interesting to get that kind of perspective, because like I said, I didn't know all this other stuff existed in this universe.
Yeah.
But I would say that the next three lineup of films in part 2, I think is a lot better. I don't think they're better than the first Iron Man. But I think collectively they're better than these set of films. Or
Yes, that's true.
Well, no, they're better than Hulk and Iron Man 2, I would say.
Yeah,
I would say that.
Yeah, but speaking of that, so
that's for a different time.
Yeah. Well, no,
later.
Speaking of that, hopefully after our Super 8 video, the next we're going to be doing part 2 of phase 1 of the MCU, and that's going to be Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger, and then the first Avengers movie. So I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I had a question.
We're moving and shaking. Sure, go ahead.
Did y'all see did y'all start this franchise like going to the theater to see it, like the MCU?
I did see Iron Man in theaters when it came out. But I didn't see any of the other ones. I didn't see the other ones in theaters until Captain America. So I didn't see Thor 2 or Iron Man 2 or the Incredible Hulk in theaters.
Yeah, I seen
Thor.
Yeah, I seen almost all the MCU movies in theaters except for the Hulk. I didn't see Far From Home. I didn't see the first Doctor Strange, and I didn't see Thor Ragnarok in theaters. But everything else in the theaters.
Oh, I can beat it because I've seen every single one of these movies on first release.
Wow.
I've never missed an MCU movie in the theater.
But yeah, not too bad. First video for this series, and hopefully, this can continue and for a while, because I don't know how long the MCU is gonna last.
for the rest of time.
Yeah. Still making millions and billions of dollars.
Still making money, yeah.
It's been Drew from Horror, Sci-Fi, and Beyond. Make sure you check in a couple of weeks for our Super 8 video, and hopefully after that we'll have part 2 with the final part. This is the shortest for phase in the MCU.
Yep.
We'll have part 2 of phase 1 after that, hopefully. And then make sure you thumbs up the video, make sure you share it, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you check out my Facebook page for Horror Sci-Fi Beyond, link down on the bottom. And you guys have a good one. Drew, over and out. Bye.